Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infamous Horrors / Infamous Interviews. I am your host, AJ, and today I'm joined by Paul, who has a new interactive film coming out called The Gallery. So, Paul, this is not your first interactive film you made because you also directed The Complex as well. So, how was it different with The Gallery? Did you know? Because I think, was The Complex your first interactive film that you made?
It was, yeah, yeah. The Complex was the first one back in 2019, pre-pandemic times, basically. Yeah.
So how was it like this time around? Like you knew what you were doing more, I would assume, and you went bigger with this one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was technically my. Well, I've done 5 interactive films at the moment, 4 of which are features. So the Complex, then I've done 2 rom-coms as well, 5 dates and 10 dates, and so the Gallery is kind of my 4th, and then I'm a short as well. So the Complex was my first. So I'd learned a lot about interactive, just the storytelling in itself from a story perspective, but also the logistics of shooting, because obviously you're shooting a lot more content, and the way that you're shooting it is also different, and then you need to also shoot ahead looking to the edit to make sure everything joins up nicely. So there was a lot of not just on a creative story perspective was I more experienced going into the Gallery, but I was also sort of just in with the pure logistics of filmmaking with it. And yeah, it's longer than the Complex. I think it's probably about double the Complex, because I guess the Gallery in itself it's kind of 2 interactive films in one, as you'll see.
And that's interesting. What made you decide to go with that route too, where it's not only like 2 playable characters you can play, but it's in 2 different decades as well?
Well, it's kind of just one thing kind of led to another, really. I mean, I was definitely, a big theme in the Gallery is the theme of gender, which was in the script anyway. And then, obviously, these kinds of projects, they are interactive films, but they're also live action video games. And, as a casual gamer myself, a big, element of video games that's, now completely commonplace for the last couple of decades is picking the gender of your character at the start between, usually between a male and a female. So that was something I wanted to, take from that and put into the Gallery, because it thematically worked and it just felt like giving a bit more interactivity and choice for the audience. But so, and then when I was kind of, it was actually came when we were location hunting, and we went to the location, which is this big sort of Georgian manor in North London. And I was sort of walking around it, and lots of the places, lots of the areas had kind of been untouched by history, and they looked like they would have done in the 80s or the 70s even. So I was kind of like, okay, rather than basically just telling the same story with with a male and a female protagonist, why don't we really make them even more disparate, because we've got this amazing location here. And it just fell in nicely that I wanted one to be set in 2021. And then 40 years earlier, I went back to 1981, felt really nice, and it suited the whole thing. So it was kind of it was one thing led to another, that kind of that is the reason we landed upon the 2 stories and the 2 decades.
And how is the filming process like in an interactive film? Is it just basically the same as normal filmmaking, or do you have to do it with like motion caption and all that as well?
No, it is technically the same. At least the live action ones that I've made so far. Obviously you've got games that are more gamey, like Until Dawn, The Quarry, which are all motion captioning. Big Hollywood actors. Obviously Rami Malek and Hayden Panettiere were in Until Dawn, and in the Quarry they had big names as well. So that I guess obviously motion capturing gives you more flexibility with the kinds of stories that they're telling. But for all intents and purposes, the set looked exactly as it would do on a normal film shoot or a normal TV shoot. It's just kind of, as I was alluded to before, the logistics of how you shoot things is slightly different. Obviously, the volume of content you need to get, because of all the different branches, is a lot more. So you've got to look at it. It's kind of like you're covering a lot more pages than you would be in a conventional film. So it's more kind of the pace and just understanding the language of not getting yourself into a knot continuity wise or anything, because it's just those kinds of things. But aside from that, it looks very similar to a normal film shoot.
And how was the casting process like for this as well? For the 2 leads, they did a very good job. So how was it like getting those 2 involved?
It was fantastic. I mean, we have an amazing casting director who has basically cast all of my interactive films bar one, named Heather Baston. She cast The Complex, she cast Five Dates, she cast Death Trap Dungeon, The Golden Room, and she cast The Gallery. So we've got a really good working relationship. And we would, when we came to do the leads, obviously we cast the leads first. And you start and you have a list of people who you think might be appropriate, and just George and Anna's names just stuck out to me straight away, because George is someone whose work I've been familiar with since Vikings and Versailles. I know someone, a good friend of mine is an actor who went to drama school with him and was always sort of saying, you should meet this guy George Blagden. He's amazing. I think you'll really click with him. So I kind of had that personal link through a friend, and I was just a fan of his work. So I was like, I'd really like to get this in his hands. And Anna, I didn't have a personal link with Anna, but I knew her work so well, and the gravitas that she carries on screen. And we had, I sent them the script. They really liked the script. We hopped on a Zoom, and the three of us really hit it off, kind of creatively and personally. So I was like, these are the kind of people that I think could really carry this film. And as you've seen, they really do. They really deliver the goods in a big way.
And when it comes to casting something like this, is there any more kind of extra convincing that you may have to do with it being an interactive film, or is it just the same as any other film you cast?
I think you do in certain ways at certain points, because I think it's still so early in the lifespan of such a new format still. And I think at the moment, the pathways of exhibition, especially when we were making the gallery, the complex only came out on gaming platforms and stuff. So a lot of agents or actors would be like, is this a game or is it a film? And my answer is always both. It's both. I want to tell stories that have enough in them, meat in them for a gamer to dig into, but also can be enjoyed as a filmic experience as well. So you kind of need to, it's one of those things with, I like to get on a call with people and just explain what my vision for these things are, how we want to, screen them in the cinemas as we are with the gallery now, as well as go out on the gaming platforms. And we want to try and release this to every platform basically. But yeah, it's more just kind of, rather than convincing, I think it's just making sure people really understand what the format is, and what kind of stories we're trying to tell. Because yeah, people are like, is this a game or a film? Which I think is the primary question I always have to kind of navigate, really.
Yeah, because I usually have that question as well when it's an interactive film.
Mm.
Is it going to be a game, or like, is it a movie? But there's enough cut scenes for it to be a video game, and there's
Mm.
length for it to be a feature film as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that Bandersnatch did a really good job for the format when it came out in December 2018. I think that coming out on a platform like Netflix as part of a franchise as big as Black Mirror kind of really put the format on the map as something that the film and TV audience could watch. But it's got it's in its structure, and that you can in Bandersnatch you can die, and in these things you can die, and things like that. It's the decisions that you make affect the story and the characters that live and die, and what kind of items you acquire. Those are all very much video gaming things, and that there's 18 endings in the gallery, so you're completionists and stuff. There's so much meat for the gamers to dive into on that side of things. So yeah, I think it was really, it's still, it's, as I said, it's still the nascent early stages of these things really becoming hitting the mainstream. But as I said, I think Bandersnatch did a really was amazing for the format in really putting it on the global map and making it something that could be consumed by the film and TV market.
And earlier that you've been screening the gallery in some places. So how have those screening reactions been like? How was the reception that you got?
It's been amazing, to be honest. And when we set out to make the gallery, I'll be honest, it was cinema screenings and going to film festivals wasn't really on my radar. It wasn't kind of what we were expecting, but it kind of just a snowball. We had our cast and crew screening back in November 2021, and we did that in a cinema, and it was just kind of we had no idea whether it was going to work or not. And the way it works is you give glow sticks to every audience member, and every time there's a decision, the screen pauses, you do the pause choice option, and screen pauses, you hover over one option, everyone who wants to vote for that option raises a glow stick, and then you go over the next one, whoever votes that, and whichever is the most popular, very democratic, is the one that gets selected. So the audience is effectively voting to build a story together. And it's kind of and once we did it on that first screening, the audience reaction you kind of get, it's very visceral and it's very immersive and communal, because it's like, there's groans, there's laughs, there's, not just at what's going on the screen, but also, people kind of, whispering and muttering and cheering if it's the right one, and, if they kill someone that they want to kill or whatever. So it worked so well that we were like, let's submit it to film festivals and see what happens. And we've played at 3 film festivals in France, including the Dinard Film Festival, which was a really big one to get. And that we had 3 screenings which screened over to over 200 people each. And we got similar reactions. And next week it's coming out. We're having a limited cinema release in London as a side event of the London Games Festival. At the Genesis Cinema in East London, the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square, and the Ealing Project in West London. So it's kind of this. We're showing that it's possible, and that's now every interactive film I make. I'm like, I want it to go to film festivals and be released to the film and TV audience as much as possible, because I think it's great.
The Prince Charles Theater has to be pretty exciting for you guys to play at, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like especially, I came from from genre films. That was where my linear films. That was how I educated myself as a filmmaker. So I've watched plenty of films there as part of the Fright Fest Film Festival. So I've been and watched many films at the Prince Charles there. So like, yeah, I'm very familiar with it, and it's like a real honor to be playing there, actually. So yeah, no, I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, and Fright Fest is always amazing. I've been covering that festival online for the past few years, and it's always a blast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were lucky enough to have White Chamber, which was the last linear film I made back in 2018, played at Fright Fest at the Prince Charles, actually. And yeah, it's such an amazing community, and the films that they select are all so great. So you can just get lost and watch back-to-back films for like that long weekend or however long it's on for. So yeah, no, it's a fantastic festival.
So, Paul, what's next for the gallery and yourself after this releases?
The gallery, it's out there. It released across all gaming platforms in September. So it's available on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and the app stores, actually. So if you have an iOS or an Android device, you can get it as an app on the app stores there as well. So it's available to view on the small screen in that way. And then I guess there are no immediate plans for other more festivals or cinema screenings, but we're always kind of on the lookout to see if there is the opportunity to do so. But also my focus is to kick on to the next one. So we're in early stages of development on two projects, one of which is a comedy and one of which is a suspense thriller. More in the genre, very much a genre piece. So we're looking to really just kind of expand into other genres, and really play with the form, flesh it out on the gaming side, but also really make it as cinematic as possible as well. So just trying to make more interactive films and get them out there for people to see.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really fun, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, AJ. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good day, Paul.
You too, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.